All right, welcome everyone. This is the July 12th meeting of the Merrimack Conservation Commission. Welcome to our new town council rep, Andy Hunter. There are packets here if someone didn't get one. And unlike the other conference room, we don't have a strobe here to blast us if we forget to put on our microphone. So if you see him wander out and wave his hands, just push the green button. So we'll call this meeting to order. It's 6:33 p.m. First item on the agenda is public comment. I think you are all here for something on the agenda, right? Yes. No one's here for public comment. Next item, public hearings. So we don't have any of those. We don't have any appointments either. So that will take us straight to statutory business. The first item of statutory business we have tonight to discuss is North Shore Trailer in Suspension, LLC applicant, and Joseph Nissen, the owner. It's a review for recommendation to the planning board for a waiver of the full site plan review to operate a trailer suspension and repair business. The proposal is located in 20 Star Drive in the I-1 Industrial and Aquifer Conservation District. Tax map is 3D-1 lot 012. If you would just come up and turn on the mic and just say your name before you get started, please.
The green light is on. Can I assume it's going?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, if you would just tell us a little bit about the project.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is David Moran. I'm a real estate advisor with Berkshire Hathaway, and I've been working with Mr. Keith Pasquale, who's here. He's the owner of North Shore Trailer and Suspension. And we've been working on purchasing a property at 20 Star Drive. Not sure if you're familiar with it, but Star Drive is basically a road that dead ends at the railroad tracks. And then there's a crossing that actually gets you over the Public Service of New Hampshire land and a few other properties. This is the last property on the left. It actually has an old railroad spur that is currently not in service. So Mr. Pasquale is looking to purchase this property and move his business there from Salem, New Hampshire. It is, as we've described, I believe you got a handout that was a business description. And basically he's been in business for over 30 years, first in Massachusetts and for the last 10 years in Salem, New Hampshire. We've been looking for a new facility for him to purchase. This property has been on the market for a while. Again, if you're familiar with the property, it's in need of a little bit of tender loving care. And that's one of the things that we're going to try to bring to this building. But basically, the operation of the building, the business is, as you would imagine, he services tractor-trailer, primarily tractor-trailer bodies. So, for instance, Demolers is one of his largest clients. So they'll have problems with their trailer section of their trucks, and they will bring them into Mr. Pasquale for service. And that can be body work, suspension work, basically anything related to keeping those trucks on the road. We have reviewed the regulations. I've been in touch with the planning board on several occasions. We've been talking to them for a good month now. So we understand that we are in an aquifer district and what the ramifications are of that. So you'll see on the plan that we have, we've made notes about the fact that we're aware of the district we're in, and also that, again, we'll follow the regulations regarding both herbicides and other plant landscaping maintenance, as well as snow removal. So, again, I think it's will be a good addition to the town as far as the new business is concerned. The building is actually larger than what he needs for his own purposes, so our intentions are to lease out some additional space and make the building, fully productive. So we're here today to answer any of your questions. I can say that, again, he's been in business for 30 years. Mr. Pasquale will tell you himself he's never had any problems. He follows all the rules and regulations regarding the handling of any hazardous waste. And again, he does use lubricants and grease and things like that and the maintenance of the truck. So, but he's fully cognizant of what the requirements are, and he runs a good business. Any questions?
Would like to go first? Oh, no, I said, who would like?
You're looking for some exemption on the site plan?
No, actually, we've reviewed the site plan with the planning staff in detail and actually made several modifications to what you see now as a modified site plan. Again, we went to the planning board for waiver of full site plan review. And again, mostly for a matter of timing more than anything else. So we've been before the planning board and dealt with a lot of their questions. But again, I know that you give recommendations. We're not done here by any stretch. We're looking to close on the purchase of the property this Friday. We're looking to start doing renovations to the property. And one of the things that the planning board has requested is an updated site plan. And it's our intention to provide that to them within the next couple of months. We've actually just signed a contract with an engineering firm to do so. So again, we're the goal is to get to not allow an interruption of his business. We're actually in a situation where his current landlord decided to sell his building, and he's being displaced, and that's what is bringing him to Merrimack. So it's Merrimack's gain as far as I see it. And again, we've been under time constraints since day one. Again, we've been working closely with the planning board to try to make this happen.
Can you just tell us a little bit about the drainage in the parking lot? Is it all back into?
It's a beautiful question because that was one of our biggest issues at the planning board meeting. What you see in front of you is a plan from 1982. All right. During our investigations, I actually got this plan from the planning board. So this is the plan that they had on file. It also was approved for a waiver of site plan review back in 2017. So again, being naive, which we all are at some point in time, and again, because we were somewhat constrained with time, we presented the same plan to the planning board. Went to their June 15 meeting, and they had a lot of questions, and that was one of them that came up. Some of the work that was originally intended, and I say intended because it was on a plan, and it was an approved plan, so the work should have been completed, was never completed. So for the last 40 years, we've had a problem, or the site has had a problem with runoff. All right. It is that way today. I actually drove by there on my way because we've had the wettest week that I can remember. And there's a puddle, all right, that actually is partially in the road and partially on the abutter's land, but not in this parking lot. So yes, there's some runoff that's coming from this parking lot and going into the public way. We discussed it. I've actually had an engineer out there, and we are in the process of getting a design for stormwater management. And again, that itself is an issue. So it's recognized. Again, the work was never done 40 years ago that would have mitigated the problem. But that was even before they extended the crossing over the railroad. So whatever they had done back in 1982 would have been changed by now anyways. But it is the end of the road in terms of a dead end. So it's one of those things that no one really seems to have taken notice of before. Mm-hmm. But again, recognizing that stormwater management is, especially in the last 10 or 15 years, it's become a big hot button in the state of New Hampshire. I've dealt with it myself on several projects. It's something that needs to be done. So again, we've signed a contract for an engineering firm to give us a stormwater management design, as well as an up-to-date site plan.
Right. And conceptually, what is the idea? So all this
Yes.
you'd capture, I guess our biggest concern probably is any hydraulic fluids or any of those sorts of things
Yeah,
in the parking lot. Will they come back into a storm?
They'll go into a storm management system, yes. You'll see on that plan that it looks like there was a swale designed on the southern end of the building. And basically, that's what the work that should have been done that was never done. So our plan now is to just keep it all within the property boundaries, because back then they had the swale actually crossing where the public way is. So, we found some deficiencies in the plan, and that was actually the biggest topic of discussion with the planning board, was what are we going to do about this? And again, it's our intention to get a proper design and to fix it once and for all.
The parking lot as it is now, it's fully paved now?
Yes.
You're not intending on adding?
Oh,
any-
no. Basically, the building is as it is. We're not planning on adding anything to it. There is some green space out between the building and the railroad tracks. And actually, I think that the railroad tracks will sort of perform almost a natural buffer between us and the river. So, I think we just deal with the train that's there. But again, I was, let's say, pleasantly surprised when I went by today, because the puddle that's there and the runoff that seems to be there is not substantial. And again, I think that with the right drainage system in place, we'll be able to mitigate it without a problem.
Because obviously we have two concerns. One, aquifer protection, but you're also, the proximity to the Merrimack River is,
Yes.
That's
Yes.
obviously something very concerning to us.
We're not super close,
Yeah.
and like I said, there's a railroad bed
Right,
that divides us,
Right.
and I think that creates a natural barrier for filtration between us and anywhere. And again, not that we anticipate a problem, believe me. If you run a clean business, you don't run into problems. And that is certainly the intention of the new owner. He'll be occupying the building and treating it as his own, because it will be.
Yeah, you've got some comments in here about the storage of the oils and lubricants. So
Yes.
That's exactly the kind of stuff we need to see. Do you have any spill plan?
I would, I can't speak to that myself, but my assumption would be that they have practices in place, and Keith can tell me, if you have a spill, you take care of it. You have drying agents on site, and you got a buffer.
Please come on up.
Yeah, come on up.
Please come on, pull up a chair and,
Steal that chair.
yeah,
in the
just
corner
you
if you-
grab that chair right from the end and so you guys can sit. There you go, sit there, I'll sit here.
With my tanks, all the tanks are plastic, so we don't have a problem with
Get a little
them
bit closer.
rotting out or anything like that, and they're in a containment. So my antifreeze,
Name and
Oh,
who
I'm
you are
sorry.
real quick, so just,
Yeah.
'cause they're recording this so they can.
okay,
Protocol.
Keith R. Pasquale Senior,
Thanks.
owner of North Shore Trailer and Suspension LLC.
Thank you.
Like I said, all my containers are made of plastic, metal, they don't leak or anything
Right.
like that. And they get picked up there and delivered there. So I don't transfer them off the property. Antifreezes it's in a drum. They give new antifreeze, they take my old antifreeze, which is a drum right beside it. They pump it out and they leave with it in a truck. Oil, same way, it gets delivered to me, any type of oil delivered to me in a container, in a containment area, one spot, and it stays there, and everything on the ground stays nice and clean and dry. I don't have any problem with runoffs, I don't have any problem with spills. And I have 250-gallon tubs that sit there that are all wire meshed around them that will hold any of my oils that are being transported out, but they don't leave the property. They are taken out on the property from there.
Okay.
Transported out of the property.
So and the tubs are large enough to contain whatever volume of
Yeah.
material you have in there? And all the storage containers are in tubs, or some type of
They're in
containment?
they're in a container. So what they do, these are in a container, wire mesh, big screw tops on the top. They pull them out, they pump them out, and they're empty, and then we refill them again.
Yeah, but they're all within a containment type of barrier somehow?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Good.
You mentioned subleasing some of the property.
Yes.
Since you wouldn't need the whole thing. Would any tenant be subject to the same sorts of materials handling requirements?
I wouldn't believe so. I think it's more of a storage for them. They would go in there.
The balance of the property is actually is more warehouse. It's actually been described as warehouse. We have that on the plan, and it has a loading dock serviced. So again, we anticipate a totally different, again, more of a storage, shipping, receiving type of use.
Thank you.
Obviously, that would be one of our comments, is any sublease would be restrictions to the same things, or the same
Right, absolutely.
process that you use.
Yeah, they wouldn't
Absolutely.
be doing, it'd be competition for me. I wouldn't do it.
Well, I'm saying, but regardless of who goes in there, you
They
know?
would, it'd be mainly a storage company, somebody brings stuff in, then they
Right.
move it out.
So you do not have any plans for the green space, you're just gonna kind of leave it as is?
Actually, our plan is to maintain it.
Okay,
All right, and just to, right now, it's totally overgrown.
right.
Actually, in my conversations with the fire marshal, he was concerned that it was a fire hazard, because apparently the trains still run up and down there, and if it, not that it's wet, it's dry today, but, you know, in the summertime it can, because it does go right up to the building. So,
Yep.
again, our intention is to maintain it.
So when you say maintain it, because I was happy to see you've got the low phosphate, slow release nitrogen fertilizer that you want to use in an aquifer conservation district, and you have the Green Snow Pro, so that's great.
Yes.
The only other thing that we usually ask about is if you're doing any work that would require bales, we would prefer straw instead of hay.
Sure.
And if you're planting anything, just make sure it's not invasive.
Yes, I agree with that 100% personally, just so you know. And again, we're not really planning on creating a lawn environment out there. What I anticipate is it'll just be mowed down to a reasonable level. Right now, it's totally overgrown, so believe me, it's something that needs to be done just to preserve the well-being of the building.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good.
All right, well, thank you for coming. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
I have some questions, probably more directed to you guys being new on the commission here. So it says that they're requesting a waiver for a full site plan review. So if you were to grant this tonight, what does that mean? What are you saying? That they don't, what are they not subject to if you grant
I
this?
think in this instance, we'd simply craft a letter back to Chairman Best, you know, outlining the 4 concerns we have. Ultimately, it would be up to him to, you know, that commission to grant that panel.
Okay.
But we would just outline the
This
things.
is just your recommendation to the
Yes.
planning board
Yeah.
and what your concerns are?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Just,
and the 4 concerns we would outline to them, I think that, you know, just looking at my notes here, is just making sure that stormwater plan is comprehensive.
Yes.
But they would require that without our
Yeah,
recommendation.
like I said, we've had that discussion already.
I'm trying to read my notes. Oh, and, you know, just making sure there's a language in there that any sub-leasees or anyone else using the building abides by the same, concerns and safeguards that you did. Straw, not hay, we always usually include that in our
Yep.
recommendation, along with non-invasives, but it doesn't sound
Sure.
like you're gonna do a lot of that landscaping. But yeah, we'll craft a letter and send it back to the planning board, and yeah, if no one has any other questions, I thank you
Great.
for your time.
Thank you for
tonight.
hearing
Thanks
us.
for coming in.
Appreciate it.
They said we don't need sign-in sheets anymore. That was pre-COVID. Now.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, you also. The next item we had up for statutory advisory business was John Flatley Company, applicant owner. Review for a recommendation to the planning board for a site plan to construct an access road for the Commerce Park project. The parcel is located at 645, 673, 685, and 703 Daniel Webster Highway in the I-1 Industrial District and the Aquifer Conservation and Wetland Protection Area. Tax map is 6E, lots 6E-003-01 through 05. If you would, just to start, state your name for the record.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Michael Pluff. I'm a land surveyor with Fieldstone Land Consultants. I'm here tonight. Basically, the project engineer kind of had an emergency, so I'm filling in at the last moment, but I'm going to run through it, everything that I can and try to answer your questions. I brought a thumb drive with the site plan on it. So, the owner of record for lots 3-1, 3-3, 3-4, and 3-5 is John Flatley. The purpose of this plan is to depict a proposed roadway on lot 3-1, 3-3, 3-4, and 3-5. And I can show you. So the proposed roadway is to start right here at Daniel Webster Highway. It runs down through the lots mentioned prior, curves around here, runs down this way, and then back up and ties in right here. There's the zoning for this lot in this area is industrial, and there's going to be 4 pads. If I can go to the next. The cross-hatched area right here, there's going to be 4 industrial pads, 1, 2, 3, and 4. With these areas, the drainage from this area right here will go into a basin right here. The drainage from basically this wellhead protection this way will all drain down into a large basin in this area. And the drainage from this pad right here will drain this way into another drainage swale and eventually all make their way to the Merrimack River.
When you say pads, you're saying like a concrete pad?
No, like a construction area where the new industrial buildings will go.
Okay. So for right now, it's an impervious surface, or is it going to be?
Right now, it's just gravel.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's going to be just
Eventually,
crushed gravel,
right.
but
It'll-
eventually be a
Right,
building.
there'll be a building there, paved surface.
Okay.
So, again, I'm not an engineer, but I was told that the drainage is going to be, or the post-drainage is going to be less than the pre-drainage. So there's no additional runoff that will be exiting the site.
Is there a stormwater plan?
There is. And I have a copy here, but I think it was submitted.
Okay.
It's the stormwater report. I don't know how you typically handle these. If you want me to,
But it was given to the
oh yeah.
community development downstairs?
Yeah, this has all
So we
been
have access
submitted.
to it? Okay. Yeah, if you have the pre and post design notes, that would be great if you can just reveal them or bring them up.
Yeah, bear with me here.
Because it wasn't.
Stormwater management report, you can just include the summary sheet.
Not sharing.
Rhonda, whoever. When they put it back. They can include that summary sheet. It'd be helpful.
Fortunately, I'm not versed in this report as of yet, so.
Well, again, if we have it downstairs, we can get copies of it too.
Okay, so. Also as well, being that this was the PFOE site, there's no recharging into the soil, so the drainage has to go into dry basins. So that's what this site is been
Designed for.
designed to.
Can I just backtrack just a second, because I just want to make sure that I have your name, and I want to also make sure, because I show that Kevin Walker was, from Flatley Company, was coming tonight,
Oh,
so he's not here?
he's not here.
Okay, and then I also show a Chad Brannon,
He's not here either.
okay, and you're Michael,
Pluff, P-L-O-O-F.
P-L-O-O-F, And I'm sorry, were you from Flatley or Fieldstone?
Fieldstone.
Fieldstone, okay. Great, thank you.
So, I mean, there's a lot of grading plans here. We can scroll through those if you have questions, but mainly I was here to take your comments and run away with them and apply them.
It looks like we've seen this, over the course of several meetings, kind of piecemeal. This seems like it's a pretty minor piece of the much bigger project, but I think our chief concern continues to harken back to, are there going to be excavated soils from this property? We certainly don't want what could potentially be a Merrimack problem to become someone else's problem, just in terms of the management of those soils. So, and we haven't seen that plan yet, but I'm sure there is one under development. We just, whether they're contained on site and capped, whether they're disposed of as a contaminated soil, whatever that plan be would.
Right. And I hesitate to answer that question, but I will definitely
understand.
get an answer back for that.
And we've consistently sent that message to the planning board, and they have that same concern. I just want to be transparent about it. Any recommendation we send back would certainly echo that same sentiment.
So you also work with Nathan, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because we've talked to Nathan about this a couple of times.
Right. He wasn't available tonight.
Okay, okay.
So,
And just so you know, you did a great job on the green snowplow. That's in there.
yep, that's a
And
note.
You nailed the fertilizer, that's good. You nailed the non-invasive plants. You got the straw instead of the hay. You talked about stormwater runoff containment, filtration required by New Hampshire DES as it relates to PFOA, PFAS. You talked about spill kits. You even talked about washing off the wheels before they go on the right of way. So you're most definitely on the right track. It's just a matter of, making sure that the materials stay on site. The other thing that I was going to ask, because I know another commissioner who has since left the board brought up was, I see that Dumpling Brook runs right through that property.
Yeah, I'd like to see the detail in crossing that brook.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we would like to see some detail about crossing that brook and how you're going to keep that safe, because that also runs right into the river.
Okay.
Do you know if there is a detail here on that?
Are you talking about this area right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in particular, the riparian, crossing the riparian zone and crossing the brook itself.
I know there's a grading plan. I saw it before I came here, so.
You're good. Thank you.
So I think I'm on 6 right now. Here's the wetlands, here's the pond, right here. And here's Dumpling Brook, right there. So it appears as though there's no, we're crossing, the road is right here, coming through, but as far as the wetlands are concerned, there's the buffer right there. There's the other buffer right there. I honestly would have to get back to you on that if there's a detail. I don't know if there is one in this package or not.
I see Nathan's name on this one, so Nathan knows we're concerned about Dumpling Brook. Do you know when this goes before the planning board?
I do not.
Okay, that's all right, I'll look it up. I just want to make sure that the letter gets there in time.
Anyone else? Good?
My only comment, I'd just like to see more about the proposed,
The before and after.
before and after of the crossings.
And I'll talk to community development, make sure you get a chance to look at that. I think that was all of our questions, but thank you for
Is
sitting
there
in tonight.
Is there a memo or
We'll send the same recommendation. We'll check on when this goes before the planning board, make sure it gets there in time. But we'll send them, it essentially will outline the same concerns we have with this site, the crossing of Dumpling Brook. And ultimately, it'll be up to the planning board to sanction whether or not whatever mitigation you do is satisfactory or not.
Okay, and I'll get with Nate tomorrow. I have the two main questions right.
Yeah, and we have that, if community development has that pre and post stormwater design notes, we can get that from them. We'll take a look at that.
That was a whole report submitted.
Mhm.
All right.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thanks for
and-
putting up with me.
And filling in today. No,
No.
pleasure. Let's see. So the next item we had up, the first item under new business is Meridian Land Services. And they're here to discuss Beacon Road, a building addition on Beacon Road. And see, they're seeking a variance from the zoning board, and normally we don't, what's that?
Special exception.
Special
Sorry to
exceptions.
interrupt.
No, and normally we don't hear these, but they did ask to come before us and present this plan, just so.
Yeah, just to elicit comment.
Illicit comment. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
You're welcome. My name's Spencer with Meridian Land Services, Spencer Tate. And I'm here on behalf of MJ20 Beacon Street LLC, the property owner, and homeowner. It's not a flipper, they all know. I'm just gonna set this up on the chair. I didn't bring a
That's all right.
test
yeah.
drive, pretty small group here. I think is in all your packets as well.
Yes.
So, kind of an analog person, with a certain camera or something like this to see.
No, it's fine.
I'm sure they got you.
Because we have the,
Mhm.
we have the submitted documentation, anyways, that's what will go in the plan, in the notes, so.
Okay. So yeah, so the subject parcel, again, we're going for a special exception, so not a planning board approval. It's an existing, this will start at the top. I too am here in somebody else's stead, Jason Bolduc, the project technician on this, is in Francistown for a Conservation Commission hearing tonight. So regardless, my name's Spencer Tate. I was the certified wetland scientist on this job, so I did do the flagging and verified the flagging for Jason. So I have been on site. I know enough to be dangerous, but if I kind of fumble through and have to pull some materials together, forgive me. So the subject parcel is lot 5C617, also known as 20 Beacon Street. It's bounded on the south and west by the Sauhegan River. It has its frontage along Beacon Drive and is on both to the north and south of it is private residential single family zoning. The lot is 1.6 acres. It currently houses I believe it's a 3-bedroom house, single family. And the house was originally constructed, according to town records, in 1974. The subdivision was approved sometime in the early 70s. I think this was also in the documents, but I believe it was 1975, a drainage easement was put over this parcel. In that drainage easement, there is a poorly drained wetland. Now, I don't want to say as a wetland scientist, I don't want to say it's an insignificant wetland, but it's kind of a wetland in name only. It does have hydric soils, it has hydrophytic vegetation, and it beats the hydrology. There's water in it now. Surprise, surprise. However, it's not contiguous with the Sauhegan River. It's actually a kind of typical flood bank development. The riverbank actually comes up before it goes back down into this kind of basin. However, it does provide primary treatment. It catches the cigarette butts and dog poop and Dunkin' Donuts cups that are in our stormwater. And it does provide some level of infiltration. But other than that, there's no habitat provided. It's really a minimally functioning wetland when we think of wetland functions and values.
Do you know if that was there before the development?
I don't. Unfortunately, I'm not old enough to know.
Yeah.
But presumably it was the low spot. And there was probably some water always there. I don't think the development. And now the catch basin that dumps into this, or the culvert that dumps into this, does catch a good bit of runoff from basically Turkey Hill towards the river. So basically the entirety of that Beacon Drive loop drains to this point. So I don't know what was there before, but certainly
I was just curious
the
if you
human
could-
development has maintained it or perpetuated as a wetland area.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it was upland prior to human development. So the proposal that will be going in front of the ZBA for the special exception is a proposed addition, which will be a garage underneath, or a garage at existing grade with living space up above, which is pretty common nowadays, you see, for an addition. And the proposed addition will encroach into the wetland buffer to a distance of 19.9 feet from the wetland edge. The buffer itself that's currently there is also of pretty low value. It's basically managed lawn that's really not growing that well. So this isn't your classic emergent vegetation that transitions down to the wetland edge. The upland area is managed lawn. Yeah, go ahead.
If it wasn't managed, would it become proper wetland?
Not the upland buffer. Not the area of the buffer impact. We're a good, probably 4 to 6 feet above where it is. There's a pretty good, pretty well defined basin that is the wetland edge. And I think if it were unmanaged, the wetland edge wouldn't creep up. The wetland edge still is where it is. Yeah, right. So the buffer, just because it's buffer doesn't mean it really has any wetland functions. It just means it's an upland area surrounding the wetland area. If it were unmanaged, I don't want to say it's lawn that's not growing very well. So I don't want to say it's really meticulously, it's not fertilized. It's really kind of a minimal buffer value as it currently stands. And then to further the point, the way that we've graded this, we're grading it such that the stormwater off of the roof and from the added impervious area is going away from the wetland area. The buffer will be, the buffer beyond the project area will be protected with erosion control measures, and the proposed project will have no impacts on despite how minimal they are, the existing functions and values of the wetland itself. So basically what I'm trying to articulate is the removal of this portion of the buffer, in my opinion, would have negligible impacts to the overall wetland value that's there, the ecological value of that wetland. In other municipalities, a wetland that's of this type, meaning derived either partially or wholly from man-made circumstances, is typically exempt, or not typically, but there's municipalities where they're exempt from buffer impacts. Merrimack, if it's a wetland, looks like a wetland, smells like a wetland, it has the 25-foot buffer and the 40-foot building setback. So that's why we're seeking the relief. If there's any other questions, I can hammer this home a little bit more, or
How much of the building's in the buffer?
so how, in terms of square footage, or?
Well, yes, I guess. I mean, the overall building size is going to be X, and that amount is how much of it's in the.
Sure, and was there a building plan?
There is. Yep.
So I'm going with the scale here. You guys might be able to probably get a better number. So it's got an angle to it, but let's say the rectangle here, if we had to draw from the existing corner and square it off, it's looking like we're 28
28 by 26.
by Yeah, 26, looks about right. And then the portion of the proposed building that's going into the buffer is from the very tip of that to perpendicular, so the furthest most point into that is about 5 feet, looks like. But it's a triangular shape. I'm happy to pass around my color up here, but the pink portion is the proposed addition, and the orange is the buffer impact line.
So it's just that back corner of the building?
That's right.
Yeah.
And we actually mentioned to the owner, well, you know, is there a way we can lop this off architecturally to make this work for you? But because of it being a garage, he needs it to be rectangular in nature. Having a 6-foot carve out of the garage doesn't really, basically voids the entirety of the garage bay.
Buy a smart car.
So does the proposed driveway is gonna go into that area too? Where's the?
That's
I'm looking
correct.
for the existing driveway.
So the existing driveway is it's a dashed, let's see. If you find the benchmark, the TBM is nail set in the triple
Yep.
maple, that nice big cross. The line, that doesn't necessarily go through that, that's a contour line, but the line due south of that in plan view, which kind of runs at an angle and is dashed around. It looks like it has a little bit of an encroachment, existing encroachment, and comes back around it and
So
goes.
they have no garage now?
They do have a garage.
They
now.
do, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything, but,
So it runs there, and they will be extending that. However, that portion of the driveway is beyond the buffer impact area.
okay.
But we're still grading the stormwater from that driveway away from the wetland area.
Okay. But there will be asphalt or something there which will,
Some sort of hard, yeah, impervious surface. I'm not sure if he's planning on extending gravel or.
okay.
Is it that driveway? I know. I'm trying to remember what the house looks like. That's existing pavement though, right now? That's not a.
It's pavement.
Yeah, it's not a
right.
gravel driveway.
Right.
Is that stub there on the top? The existing stub?
Existing stump. I'm sorry.
The
Oh,
stub?
the little, yeah, the turnout?
Yeah, the
Yes.
hammerhead. Is that there?
Yep.
It's a big driveway.
Mm.
It's not gonna work down.
It is a big driveway, and we are expanding inherently with putting an addition on the home, he is expanding the impervious area.
So what's the triangular space between the existing driveway, the new driveway, and the addition? Is that gonna be,
In terms, what is it?
is that gonna be just green space? Is that gonna be paved too?
I'm sorry, would you, yeah.
This triangular space from the existing driveway to the new driveway and the house.
Yeah, so that'll be in either hardscape or paved or gravel, some sort of drivable surface, because this face will be the garage bays.
Oh, okay. They're not coming in the end?
No, it's not a side load
Oh,
here.
okay, yep.
Those are the garage bays. So they will be extending some portion of the driveway, but again, it's area that's beyond the.
Oh, yeah,
buffer.
so that's
There's
not,
actually
that's,
no relief being
okay,
sought
all
for
right, so,
that.
yeah, all right. I thought that was the driveway coming this way. They were trying to come in.
Yeah, we're gonna front load it
Oh,
right
okay, I
here.
see.
So I
All
think
right.
he has
All right.
existing bay or two here, and he
Yep.
wants
That makes more
two
sense.
existing bays there.
Okay. So what's that hash line right there? What's this
Hatched area going.
what's
Oh, with
this?
the X's on it, that's the proposed erosion control.
Okay,
Hopefully that should be in the detail. The erosion, yeah, proposed
I just can't-
siltation
I just- yeah.
control
I just can't read it.
in the legend, and then we have a little detail for that.
Okay.
And for this project, I like to use a silt fence with like a 12-inch diameter silt sock at the base of that. And what we typically find is that the silt sock does all the work, but the silt fence is more of a people fence than anything else. If we just put the silt sock down, then, you know, it gets trampled or walked over or driven over.
What's the sock gonna be filled with?
They typically come with either an aspen, like a what do you call it, like a blended, shredded aspen, like poplar.
Guaranteed dead.
Byproduct. What's that?
Guaranteed dead, whole,
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, you know, poplar,
right.
pretty innocuous, but you can get them with wood chips, compost, but we wouldn't allow that.
They refer to straw bales too, so.
Did you expect, was there something in particular you would want our recommendation to?
If there's no, no, but
Okay.
it's a
Yeah.
typical, it's, for what we're seeking relief for, it's an environmental setback more than anything else. So typically, well, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but if there's an environmental concern, my wife's on my town's conservation commission, but typically, if there's an environmental concern, the zoning board would not defer, but request that comment be rendered from the conservation commission prior to them coming,
Right.
you know, getting to a decision, which is certainly reasonable, right? And the owner has an interest, you know, like everybody else, wants the project kind of move along here. So, in an effort to not have this tabled for a reason that, you know, for an environmental reason, it seemed simpler to come and request the commission's comment. It seemed very linear and logical. So,
actively.
in terms of what we're looking for from you, either I'd love a project endorsement, but I'm not silly enough to say that you guys are gonna, you know, pave it away. But if no comment or any valid comments, we'd be happy to entertain. But we just want to be able to articulate to the ZBA and say, this went before the Conservation Commission and they had X, Y, Z to say about it, but otherwise we feel that this is a pretty reasonable proposal.
No one objects, I think we could send them a note saying we have no significant
If
reservations.
they're gonna work the drainage to keep it away from, again, it's a very low impact wetland. And it's, for the most part, probably man-made.
I just, a question for everyone, I guess. Do we have to take any special consideration into the fact that it's in a floodplain, a 500-year floodplain? Is that like, does that make any impact on our considerations that it's in a 500-year floodplain?
That's their insurance company that's gonna deal with
Okay.
that.
Do you remember? It's probably
06 and
20 years
07.
ago? Is that what it was?
Back to
Okay,
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that, if I remember correctly, that was a situation where way back, like 5 or 6 towns, somebody did something to the dam.
Yep.
And then released it all at once, and it caused the Sauhegan overflow, and it overflowed Horseshoe
I
Pond.
helped gut
and-
one of the buildings on Beacon that was flooded out. They
Oh,
had
you
to
did?
gut it to
Okay.
the studs before they could clean it up.
Yeah,
But, yeah, that's an insurance issue.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's, it,
If that happens, then this person has bigger fish to fry than just their garage, so.
yes,
Sure, yeah, and their neighbors.
yeah.
Yeah, the whole streets.
Yeah, I don't see a problem, especially if that's such a catch basin for all of the garbage that you're talking about, which is unfortunate. So maybe the litter crew wants to go and clean that up. But I was gonna ask Gage, do you ever remember in your time as chair sending a letter? I mean, we could certainly send something to ZBA,
Yeah,
but-
our comments, you know, we didn't find any particular, we didn't have particular heartburn about the problem. You know, it's a low functioning wetland. I've been out there. I know this area, so I mean, it's a low functioning wetland.
Okay,
And it's wet now, but I've been out there when it's been dry.
okay,
You know, it was dry last year.
sure. Spencer, I just have one more question, because I want to make sure I get, it's TATE?
Tango Alpha, Tango Echo, yep.
Okay, there you go. All right, Beacon Street LLC, all right.
Well, thank you for talking
Thank
to us about this.
Yeah,
We'll
thank
get
you guys.
an email sent in the next day or two.
I stole one of your packages Are these open to the public,
They're-
or is this
yes.
confidential?
They're available to
Yeah,
public.
okay. Then you won't be getting it back.
Okay, well, that takes us up to our annual meeting notes. I was remiss at doing
Thank you,
it
Spencer.
at the beginning, but Mike, would you serve as a voting member for Mike? And Ellen, would you do the same for Cindy?
Yes, I would.
Thank you. Of course, for this portion, everyone votes. Hopefully, everyone got a copy of our bylaws. It was in our packets. Did anyone not get a chance to read through these?
Me?
Essentially, this is our annual review of the bylaws. We did the same thing last year. We made a very minor tweak last year to the way we keep minutes for non-public sessions. Extremely minor, but Gina found the notes from last year, and that was, have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
And that was the only really adjustment we made last year. But does anyone have any recommendations for improvements, adjustments to the bylaws? Go ahead, Mike.
I thought it was 7, not 6 full-time members.
6 plus our town council ex officio.
Okay, so that's.
We are 7 members, so there's 6 on the Concom, and we have 1 official, 1 ex officio, so there's 7 voting members.
But the RSA says appointed members.
You were appointed.
No, I mean, like, if it says, if the town voted, which usually how we get our member number, if they voted for 7, you can't count the liaison. It has to be appointed.
The town council member, the town ex officio is appointed by the town council as a member of our board.
All right.
I mean, obviously, we can talk to legal about that, but that's where we get our 7 from.
It just,
Yeah, I mean, if you feel there's an issue with that, we can go and
because when I
research
was
it.
in Hudson, we had 7 members and the liaison.
Were they a voting member?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had 8 on your board.
Well, I don't know if they were supposed to be that.
Well, no,
It's,
I mean, we purposely did that to make sure that there's, when you get down to 50-50, there's never gonna be 50-50. There's gonna be a vote that it's gonna go one way or the other.
Huh,
So we purposely didn't wanna have an even number.
all right.
And again, this is not the only time we can change these. This is just the time of year that we set aside, saying if we want to change them, here's what, we're going to have a meeting dedicated to looking at this and changing them. If anyone at any point in time finds something that's really, rubs them the wrong way or feels we need to change something, we can bring it up, we can put it on the minutes, or we can put it on the agenda and take a vote and make the change anytime we want.
It sounded like Eric. Anyone want to discuss any of these items on here in the bylaws?
Does the blue font represent changes, or
Those were the changes from last year, right? Let's see, no?
Yeah, we added the secretary. That was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Is it 2? Yeah. Why is that blue?
It was when Matt was made chair.
That's a real good question. I didn't notice it was blue when I was reading it.
I thought we changed it from officers to, and actually named them,
Oh, was that?
I think. But that's, again, this is at least a couple of years ago, and I can't remember what I had
Yeah.
for breakfast, so.
I mean, the only thing that I would say is that the secretary isn't really an officer. Because I was talking to Tim about, could somebody that was an alternate be the secretary?
Right, but I think that's why we labeled them.
Yeah.
Because we said officer, and then we said, well, officers, which is typical of chairman, vice chair.
Right,
So I think we just spelled them out.
right. It could also be, I think what happened was, I think we had chairman and vice chairman. I think we changed it from that.
Oh, just chairperson?
Yes,
We changed everyone's pronouns?
yes.
Good.
I don't remember me being the person that suggested that, but I think that that's probably why it was changed. The only thing that I noticed was online, 2019 is still on there, so I'll have to ask the department to make sure that they change it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alternates may be designated to 7 full-time voting members. What?
So it's 7, and there's 6.
Right, we count the ex officio as a member.
Oh, okay. I'm
That's what
done.
I'm saying. So we count the ex officio as a member.
All right, I got it. I thought that was a typo.
So I'm hearing no recommendations for revisions?
We
Clarifications?
voted on one thing, I know as chair, we voted to allow the commission to assign, if there's a project that requires
Oh.
money, we assigned someone
We did.
and we allowed them to also sign the financing.
You're right?
So we specifically say in here that it's gotta be done by the chairman, shall approve. So if we wanna put that in we voted and said yes to do it, and we
did.
do it in public, and we all vote on it, so it's not like we're slipping something under the carpet, but it might be the time to
To
put a
amend this?
D in there that the council can,
Where do you want to
Commission-
put it?
well, I just think,
Under
item
finance,
Article what? Finance?
9,
9?
9.
item D.
D, what do you want it to say?
I think we actually worked up language, didn't we? When we,
I think we did, but I think we did it, we didn't do it onto the bylaws. We did it, in a public session, saying that the chairman or the council can vote for a project manager
We did it within,
and specify, and they're allowed to specify and sign the financial documents.
it was within the last year, wasn't
it
it?
was right around February 6th.
All right, I'll find it.
Yeah.
I'll find it and I'll put that in there.
Yes.
Article 3A, at the very end, meetings shall not be held on Sundays or legal holidays. It's unlikely we would meet on those, but I don't think we should limit ourselves if we don't have to.
If we ever wanted, the beauty of the town is very generous in having support here for all our meetings, just in terms of taking minutes, opening the building, doing those sorts of things.
Well, I mean, it says meetings shall
Meetings.
not.
Yeah, but we can,
I think,
we've met and walked in the woods on Sunday.
oh, it's true.
We have done it.
But that's not a meeting.
Oh, wait, you didn't
There's
take
more than
notes?
4 of us.
Yeah, but don't we specify? We say we're gonna meet to do something, but it's not a meeting. We just take, we're walking in the woods for this
Because
purpose.
we've,
No one's taking minutes. We're not voting on anything.
what about the
LSIP?
the LSIP walk? That's normally on
We're not
Saturdays.
voting on anything there.
No, we don't vote on anything, but we're
We're all there.
meeting and discussing and not really.
But the public's welcome to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can take it out if you want.
We do count that as a meeting, don't we?
I think we do, because,
It's
yeah, I mean, we.
Normally on a Sunday.
And we
But we don't
submit.
take minutes.
Yeah, we do.
Report
and we
counts as
sub-
the minute.
We submit the report. We generate a report and submit it to the state,
Okay.
and we
The
submit it to town
LSIP
council.
walk, if you don't know, it's Wasserman Park. Is that the only
Yeah.
property that we have an obligation to do that? When the state,
You have to walk the bounds?
yeah, the state made a donation of a portion of that tract of property. So our obligation is to do an annual walk, and last year Eric plotted our little pin maps, and we submit a report to the state. But because generally, there's usually 5 or 6 of us that show up at that, we do count it as a meeting,
Okay.
and we treat his notes as the meeting minutes.
Wait a minute. So you plotted that walk, not Gage? You're the one that took us off the trails and. Gage, every
He
time
kept
we
the
do this,
notes.
Gage goes off trail and finds the most obnoxious way to get around there. And I'm behind go, Gage, wait. He thinks it's funny.
It did happen.
Yes, it does.
Well, we know what's on the trail.
I get this.
And then
So I
they'll
g-
find a brook to cross, and they'll just look at me.
So I guess we need a motion to remove A. Is that what we're all?
Where
Well,
are
do
we?
you wanna,
There we go.
Well, don't remove all of it.
So, we
Yeah,
really
I
just
guess
need the
just-
last sentence. out.
Yeah, just the last.
Just delete it.
All right, I will make a motion to remove on the Conservation Commission bylaws that were previously revised on July 20th, 2020, on Article 3, meetings, Section A, the last sentence, we would remove that states meetings shall not be held on Sundays or legal holidays.
Motion by Gina,
Second.
second by Mike Druin. Do we need any further discussion on that? No? All in favor?
any daydreams, I mean, any,
Aye.
yeah, okay. Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Were you gonna make?
Nope,
another-
go
oh,
ahead. I'm
Do we
good.
all vote on this one, though?
I think we do. Well,
I think
Yeah.
we
We've
all
been
vote.
we have
assigned.
two alternates sitting in anyhow, so.
Oh,
it's-
okay, all right.
it's-
These are approved bylaws
Yes,
that we started with.
yes.
So right now, you only have, you're tracking one change to the previously, okay.
Mhm.
And as I said, we can change this anytime. I mean, we can agenda them and change it, our next meeting. So if you see something, tomorrow night or whatever, when you have board and you wanna read through these again, you can agenda topic and we can bring it up.
And maybe we put it on the agenda for the next one, find the language that we, it was in February when I had problems
Okay.
getting to a signed document.
Yep.
Okay, all right. I was gonna ask too, because I remember Tim said,
We've done it before too, because I did it. Because Matt was running a project and I was chair, he was vice chair. And it was like, why wait for me? I was in Nashville or somewhere, he's waiting for me to sign
Yeah.
for $20 worth of lumber or something
Right.
stupid.
well, do you want chair and vice chair, or just, well, I'll look for the.
I think whoever's assigned to the project.
Yeah, I said, it was
Yeah.
whoever was responsible for the project.
Tim had something too, and I can't remember. I went through a stack of papers today and I can't find it. So if anyone remembers what Tim, I can give him something to find out.
Very solid document.
Okay.
We ready to move on from the bylaws? Yes, Mike.
Apparently not.
All right. Article 4A. Are these based on the RSA at all? No, I'm not. I didn't read it from it. I'm just asking that question before I do.
No, I think this was pretty much our own.
All right. Only full-time members shall hold office. Should be removed. It's unnecessary. Not that I want the work.
I
I'm
think
not going to.
I
but-
think the reason for that is because if you are holding office, but you are not selected as the alternate at that particular, as a member of that, then you can't vote.
Well, you don't need to vote if you have those positions. Like, secretary takes minutes.
Yeah, but I'm not an officer. Secretary's not an officer.
Well, usually it is.
I think just in practice, if someone wanted to
had-
be the chairman or the vice chair, Mike and I would readily step down to an alternate position. Yeah, just so you could vote in every vote, if
Yeah.
that's.
It'd be like reverse alternate.
Only full-time. We put that in there for some reason. There was something happened. Only full-time members shall hold office. Because you're right, it doesn't really make sense to have that there. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it there, it just seems. I think that was just us not allowing an alternate to be voted into a position.
Does it limit you anyway as is?
Right now, it would stop an alternate from being voted into any position. Secretary, which is the only other position, but if we had any other positions, or chairman or vice chair, no one can vote a alternate into a position.
And it was funny, because I was talking to Tim about this, and I said something about, could an alternate be a secretary? And he said, why not? And I figured that he just meant that.
Right here, we said no.
No, but I figured that he just meant that the secretary wasn't an officer.
No. That could be true. Only full-time members shall hold office.
I mean,
So I don't know if we really define.
you see an out here, don't you?
Yeah, well, it says, yeah.
You're the one with the devious look on your
We
face.
have officer responsibilities and duties in Article 5, and it has chairman, vice chairperson, and secretary.
Hmm.
So I would think that line right there just says we can't vote anybody into a position that it's an alternate.
Well,
They have to be a voting member, all the time, full-time voting member.
can anyone see a reason why we couldn't take it out, or? Mike, are you asking because you want to be chair?
Oh, no, I don't.
Are you asking because you want to be vice
Maybe in
chair?
the future, but,
Okay.
no.
No?
I'd rather,
All
someone
right,
else.
so at this point, do we want to just kind of let this kind of simmer for the year and see what
Oh,
happens?
I just see it as unnecessary, so.
Okay.
I mean, if it ever came up, we could stop what we're doing and,
Mhm.
change it.
Yeah,
I mean,
Why
we
would,
look at the charter before we vote anyway, so.
yeah, but why would we want to put an alternate into a position? Because, I mean,
You never know, you
well,
know.
I mean, we're blessed. As a commission, I feel that we're blessed. As alternates, you guys show up. There's a lot of commissions, I'm an alternate, I'm not going. We've got a full commission, and we have good alternates that show up, we have good participation. I think that was more of a catch-all because there's people willing to do work.
but the
But-
thing too is that, my goal has been, like with Eric, Eric, you've been on the commission now for 2 years. And we've slowly been bringing you in and giving you more and more responsibility and, getting you more into the groove of things. So I think that kind of, you kind of just bounced right in there, Mike, and was ready to go because you were on the Hudson Conservation Commission, so you had experience. But I know with Ellen,
I just bounced.
well, but I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm eyeballing you and saying, wow, you have writing background, so, if you were interested in taking over for secretary at some point, I would love that, so, I don't know if that's what you're
Talk to me in
interested-
June.
Yeah, I don't know if
Don't
that's
worry.
what you are thinking about, but if that is, then I would slowly start teaching you things now,
I see
so
what
that
you
you'd be ready to take it over, so. So we can talk.
Yeah, I see that, build a bench.
Okay, so what do we want to
Does
do about
anyone
that?
feel it's important enough to make a motion to do something with that? Or
I
are
don't
we
think
gonna
we
leave
need
that
to
for
do it
next
now.
June?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna make a motion.
I would leave it for now. I mean, it certainly is something that, I think Mike will remember it for next year.
All right, we'll move on.
Oh,
You have another question?
Article 8, B, just a question. So usually we just hear what these people have to say, and we say we'll send the letter or whatever to the planning board.
Mhm.
But it says that the chairperson will call a motion to be made on the issue being discussed, but no motion is ever called. I'm just wondering why.
Well, it depends on what the issue is. If it's something that needs to be voted on, but not everything needs to be voted on.
Well, a recommendation.
Yeah. Do we want to vote on
no.
whether we want to make the recommendation and then vote on the recommendation? Is that what you said?
Yeah, because the recommendation is not a decision.
Right.
We're not making a decision. I mean, any recommendation you have is going to be into the recommendation. Any recommendation you have is going to be written into the recommendation.
Yeah.
So it's a compilation of our thoughts.
Yeah,
It's not like we're deciding whether we're going to make a recommendation or not.
yeah.
If it were within our jurisdiction to approve or deny, then
Right?
we
Then,
would
yeah,
certainly need
if
the
we have
motion.
to make a decision, then it's going to be a motion item.
What if
Mhm.
you don't recommend?
If you don't recommend, we don't send a
You can
recommendation.
anyone can call a motion,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I say, look, I said we don't recommend this, I mean, that's, but I mean, again, your recommendation is gonna get written in there. You would say, so hopefully if you didn't wanna recommend it, or you didn't, I shouldn't say we weren't recommending it, I mean, our thoughts on the discussion of what's going on are gonna get recorded and get passed up there, that's gonna be our recommendation, it's not gonna be a yes or no, it's just gonna be, here's what we think.
Huh.
So if you have something that's, a dissenting opinion from the rest of the members, then it's gonna go into the recommendation, it's gonna get passed up for review
Mhm.
to the planning board or the ZBA, whoever it goes to.
Again, in practice, if we were gonna vote on it, we'd almost have to write that recommendation
Yeah.
right here during the meeting. So does everyone like the way this is
Yeah.
written?
Well, I mean, in Hudson, we just voted whether to recommend or not. That was the question.
Yeah, but so when you say recommend, like to agree to the project type thing? Is that what you're
To
saying?
agree to what's being proposed. Or if we have, what's the word for it? Conditions.
Yeah.
We'll say conditionally approved.
See, that's the thing, is we're not approving or disapproving. I mean, our purview is like, they're coming before us and they're giving us a document and, we are the ones that are supposed to understand what's going on in the wetlands or whatever, so we have to say, yeah, this document you've given us meets the current, wetland rules, or meets the current, whatever rule it's gonna be. We don't approve or disapprove of that, we just make our recommendations, and they can be good or bad, but what we felt about the plan to whatever council's gonna go back and get it.
We're advisory only.
Yeah,
So
we-
we don't, planning board can look at our recommendations and
And
say,
ignore it, yeah.
well, those are nice, but we're gonna do this anyway, so.
Hmm. All right.
No, I'm glad you're reading it, because this is, we're close to this and we read it. I mean, I'm glad you're looking at it and picking it apart.
Well, it's interesting to see,
Yeah.
from Hudson's perspective too, of how other towns, I was dying to ask Spencer what town his wife was a conservation commission at, so it's like, what do they do? So,
He'll pick up, if you call, he'll pick up the phone.
not Colin.
Oh, he's a super guy, he's a super guy to deal with.
Why is it so quiet?
We're
I was
We're waiting for you to raise your
Waiting
hand
for your next
again.
thought.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't wanna rush anyone. Are we
Again,
ready to
no,
move forward?
It's not like this is final. If you have something next week, we
Oh,
can,
no,
we can.
I know, but I just hate to, waste time if we don't have to.
It's not a waste.
Well, I mean.
It's our annual meeting.
Use more time than we have to at a time outside of this time.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, the longer it takes me to get home, the less I have to worry about whether or not they heated up dinner and ate. So that means I don't have to heat up dinner. So,
All right,
take all the time you want.
So we had that one change, that's it?
the one change. We voted on it, it's approved.
Well, we're also gonna wait, we're gonna put it on the agenda for next time.
The other item that we
Yes.
have to, find that language on.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can find the last version or two of these, we can see what's changed. That might be a bad idea to just keep that as the standard.
What?
A yearly review, we should keep, see if we can get the last couple of years of
Mm.
changes to kind of see what we've tweaked. Might be helpful.
Well, we already made the motion for the Article 3
Yep,
one, so that one's all set.
right.
So, and then, we'll get on the agenda for next time.
All right. The next item under new business is nominations of chair, vice chair, and secretary.
Have you agreed to continue your role?
We'll do whatever this commission would like me to do.
I'd like to nominate Steve Perkins to continue as chair.
Wait a minute.
Motion by
Second.
Gage, second by Mike. By roll call vote, those in favor? It would be weird if I voted for myself.
It's all right. Do we have to do this by roll call? Or is it just,
Oh, no, we don't have to do it by roll call. Show of hands, I'm sorry. 6 in favor, 1 abstained.
vote for yourself, go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Gina did communicate with Mike Boisvert, who said if someone's interested, by all means, speak up. Otherwise, he would be happy to serve at the will of the commission as vice chair for another year. Okay. I nominate Mike Boisvert to be vice chair.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Ellen. By a show of hands, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Gina?
Oh.
7-0.
Okay, and I will provide an email to go into the minutes for Rhonda to show that he did indeed tell me and we're not hijacking him.
And he can't change his mind.
I'm just stepping him on that here.
Did we do that to you? You weren't
Oh,
here when we
yeah, yeah, well,
nominated
yeah.
you for chair. Sorry.
I just find it amusing. Wait till you see this year's walk.
Since we're on a roll, I'll nominate Gina to be the secretary.
Second.
Second by Gage. By show of hands, all in favor?
I'm voting for myself here.
Good girl.
7-0. That motion carries.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Gina.
Yes.
And thank you, Mike, if you ever watch this video.
Yeah, see, that gets us through really all the annual meeting portions.
Question,
Yes.
unrelated to that. Do we have a list of who's, like, members that are on the subcommittees that, like, liaison?
Do we, yes, yeah, we have, community development does have the list of who's on the committee, who's on the subcommittees, and who's the ex officio for, or liaisons for each.
I was just wondering if that exists.
Yes, it does. Well, it should.
Yeah.
It should be there. And because and it should, that's usually also kept with each subcommittee.
One of
So-
the things we need to do is update the website, but you and I need to get with, because I think more than one person should know how to update that website. So I did talk to Tim about it, and he has some time in August. So when you have some time in August, we'll get together with Tim, and I'll have all that information for you, pulled together, we'll update it, okay? Because it's not updated now.
Okay.
All right, we're ready to tackle old business. The first item that we had under old business is the Conservation Commission shed and supply discussion. Mike, I know you
All right.
provided us some packets. You want to?
All right, these are the original documents that the Hudson Conservation Commission used to choose what tools to get and from where. Visit
Do you have a rough date? This is from
2 years ago.
2 years, okay.
Visit small engine and I think it's Hudson. It might be Wyndham. But yeah,
So this is pretty much the list of what they bought.
yeah.
Okay. Still need to find a place.
I did check in with the town manager about storage, and I should have given us more background because I know Andy wasn't here when we talked about this last meeting. But the idea was there are some, well, there really aren't any tools. So when a tree falls on a path, you generally
It's
one of us goes out
yeah.
and cuts the tree and removes it from the trail. To facilitate doing this more efficiently, we talked about, if there were a group of volunteers and we could properly get them trained and have the right protective equipment for them, could we have a repository somewhere in town for certain supplies that are typically needed to do this type of work? I did talk to the town manager. He had reservations about us commingling, say the storage shed at Bishop Field, which I've been in there because I painted the lines for my kids' lacrosse games or whatever. It's hard to imagine fitting a whole lot more into that. But he had reservations, naturally so, about us commingling
So it was as
inside.
big as I was allowed to build it.
You built that?
Yeah.
Wow, nice work. It's about full of empty spray paint cans
Oh,
right
sure.
now, the chalk cans. But so there were reservations. The other problem, and this would be expensive to overcome, is if we were going to store gas or any kind of
Yeah.
flammables, we would need obviously a secondary containment
Yeah, it needs
facility.
to be an explosion-proof.
We do?
Okay, yeah.
I just toss it in the back of my truck.
Yeah.
And the more you think about this, and maybe the easiest way is not to store items like that.
Yeah, well, the minute this goes on town property and becomes, it's gonna be liable under there, because we're covered under their insurance when we're performing functions of this commission. So if we have fuel and chainsaws and stuff like that, then it becomes the liability for storage. So that means that anything that's flammable goes into a flammable box.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a pain in the neck. Because it means that every time you use a chainsaw, you gotta empty the gas and empty the oil out of it.
You do?
Yep, you're supposed to.
Mhm.
Is someone gonna check?
If it's on town property, we
It's- oh, but
we have the
yeah,
obligation to go
Yeah,
check.
yeah, that's the thing, it becomes the problem of the person using it, so.
And he did offer the advice that, if we were going to do that, he had, the town has purchased these sheds before.
Yeah.
He said, he would help us select a spot that was appropriate. We probably would want something that's visible, not tucked away and really easy for people to pilfer from, but at the same time, something that's not too visible, which would entice someone to poke away at it.
What about next to that shed with the spray paint?
We could put something there if we wanted to purchase a shed and put it there. He did say that was probably an ideal location. Bishop Field, right next to the...
Yeah.
And I only have one opinion. I guess I just would ask the question, is it broken the way we're doing it now? Do we want to invest? This is a lot of money. I assume they bought all of this, Hudson did. Was there a return on this investment? Were their trails better
Well-
maintained after this purchase than before it?
Well, I mean, it was going uphill at the start before that. But, tree fell on my head a few weeks ago. I don't have a helmet. I don't have a reason to buy a helmet myself. I don't have storage for a helmet. So I'm out there with a chainsaw doing the town's work with just gloves. So,
If we had a helmet, would we be better off storing it in your garage or someone else's
I
garage?
don't have a garage.
Then I guess the answer is no.
But you also, do you allow, should we be allowed to go out there and do that work?
Mhm.
I mean,
Normally, no.
well, then, I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying, what were you doing? Why'd you go? You know what I'm saying? That's just the argument. If we have the equipment, that's great. But if you don't know how to use it,
Yeah.
then you still can't go, we can have this equipment, you still can't go do it. If you are trained to go do that work, you'd have the equipment.
Yeah.
So
Work
it's-
has to be done. Somebody's got to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Well, one of the questions, because before, we were so spoiled with Matt Karen. And I mean, part of me's like, Matt has a big yard, just go put a shed in his yard and store all our stuff there, you don't care. Well, you don't care if it's flammable. But my question is, we've had some trees taken down, and because we don't have Matt here to go and cut them, and, we called DPW. We called Lori Barrett over in Highway, and she went and had her crew go out and do that, and we're very grateful to them for that. But I guess my question is...
Those are trees, those are standing trees, though. Matt
There's-
and I and Mike, we really only cut stuff that's already fallen.
But didn't they also take some stuff that had fallen?
You're talking about over by Horse Hill, in the Beaver area. So the trees that the Beaver had felled, plus a couple more that were pending,
Okay.
pending chew, they took down all of those, yeah.
But some of the ones that had fallen, some of the bigger ones, I know that Mike Boisvert couldn't take
Right.
out.
Yeah, that's
DPW went and
those
took
ones
them
that
out.
DPW
Up
went
by,
into. Yep.
what's it called? The Wapak
Yeah.
panorama? So I guess my question is it worthwhile to, I don't wanna impose on Lori to, after a long day of work, to come and talk to us and let us know what DPW will and will not do, but is that something that we should consider? Because I, quite honestly, am a little uncomfortable with people using chainsaws that are not fully trained.
Yeah,
You know?
you're right. You're absolutely right. Because again, if you go out and do it, and you're doing it on behalf of the Concom, you're technically supposed to be covered by the town's insurance.
Well, you remember when Mike Boisvert had that big sharp cutty thing? And I went out and got a big sharp cutty thing, and everyone looked at me and went, oh! Like, and told me
You
to make
saw it?
sure I have it. No. It was this open thing.
Shears?
I don't know what it was. Mike Boisvert had one, and I thought it was cool, so I ordered one for me. So I showed it to my husband. He's like, "You're not going to use that, are you?" And you guys all said the same thing. And I believe you said, "Make sure you have a tourniquet with you." But that's the thing is, I'm not trained.
Yeah. When you talked to Paul, did you guys discuss, if the Conservation Commission went and purchased these chainsaws, having people go out and actually use this equipment?
I didn't get in, well, you met with him, right? You and
Yeah.
Mike?
We mentioned, we asked if we bought our own tools to use, can we store it somewhere? And Kyle recommended a shed that we could purchase through him.
Yeah, Kyle from DPW, but I'm curious, did anybody have a conversation with Paul, the town manager, about folks out there using a
Liabilities.
chainsaw, the liability to the town?
I did not.
So we've had this conversation with them in the past, but if it's for the general public. So if they're doing cleanups or something like that, we're not supposed to allow the general public to be out there using power tools on the town property. We've never really gone after what it would be for one of us to go out there and do it. It's been one of those things, it's not, I don't want to say we didn't ask, don't ask, don't tell, but it's just.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, we needed to get it done, and we get it done, and we're gonna go cut it. We've talked about it here, and we go out and do it. But it's not something we do with the public. So, Matt was the only one Matt went up and got trained, so he actually went through a certification for the, training, which was great. So.
Is that certification training
state.
still available?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a state training.
It's
Yep.
very expensive. It takes a long time to do, and they have zero tolerance for shenanigans, and if you're not doing what they want, they will throw you out.
It's like a several-day course, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's a big time commitment. So, I mean, Matt was willing to make that commitment, but I don't think most people would be, so.
Well, I mean, we don't need a certification, we just need people to know how to deal with kickback and stuff.
Yeah, that's a fine line. You're right.
Very
It's
fine
a very fine
line.
line. We've
I think when you talk town liability, I don't think it's easy as saying someone needs to know how to deal with kickback. I don't think it's that cut and dry.
Well, no, you're right. That's exactly the issue we've run into. I mean, there's, Andy and I, I've been using chainsaw for a long time. Andy's been using chainsaw for a long time. We went out there and we cut up a lot of stuff. I mean, there used to be right behind Bambi Lane, right behind Mike's house there, BB Lane. There was a shed, a log house that was falling down, and the town said that we got to get rid of that, and we did it. So I'm not certified, Andy's not certified, but everyone knew we were doing it, and
Yeah.
I understand that.
Where'd you get the chainsaw?
that's mine, yeah.
The-
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
that was,
exactly.
yeah, it's,
You brought your own chainsaw, you went out there and did it.
yep.
But if it's a town-owned chainsaw, there's a whole different
I
set
would
of
imagine it's gonna be a
expectations.
whole different, yeah.
And the other thing too is technically someone is supposed to have our permission to be on town property using a chainsaw, otherwise it's vandalism. So if somebody's out there cutting with a chainsaw, we need to know about it, so. Which, obviously you
Yeah.
do,
Oh, yeah.
and the subcommittees are out there, they know, they're working on our behalf, but if, somebody just all of a sudden is like, I'm gonna go cut this tree down, that's a problem.
Because, I mean, it even got so far as, I mean, we had tarps for filling, gassing up.
Mhm.
We didn't, we take it seriously, and there's a lot of things that people don't do
Right.
when they go do that.
Right, but I guess there is a liability, to sum this all up, there is a liability
We'd have
factor that needs to be
Yeah,
discussed
we'd
with
have to,
Paul
we'd have to
McCallum.
talk to Paul about that.
Right.
Because, I mean, did you guys say tools, or did you say
We said tools.
chainsaws?
I probably did.
Okay,
Kyle was pretty against
Yeah.
us storing it with DPW stuff.
yeah. Yeah, we'd have to talk to Paul.
I would really like to know from Lori what she is willing to send her staff out to do. Because, I mean, we have had situations at Wildcat where, there's stuff that needs to be taken care of, and there's no one on Wildcat that, Karen will go out with a chainsaw, but, well, she does.
Yeah, I know. I
Yep.
know.
But I mean,
She's-
I'm not going out with chainsaw, I'll tell you that right now.
She's been pretty responsive and supportive, Lori has. I think, but some of it may be a time of year thing too.
Right,
Is it a busy time of year for her and
right.
her folks?
Right. So I think that the conversation, needs to happen of what do you, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to have that conversation with her, or if you, as the chair, are, or what you would like to do.
I don't know. I'm happy to do either. I
Okay.
think we should fight the urge to call her every time we have a tree and a trail
Yeah, I had sent her an email.
to pace ourselves, and you've done that.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
it's
did
worked pretty well.
Yeah, I did send her an email. I forgot to put something in the subject line, and there were like 4 things in it. So I might have got her, because it was,
So
She might have been on
we
vacation,
were
or-
we were trying to schedule like mowings and things like that. We were trying to schedule it so she could put it into a program. And one of the things that we've never been able to get is a work order system. I've been asking Kyle, can I fill out a work order?
yeah.
So you guys know, so we have some kind of way of tracking. It's not just me calling whoever and say, hey, can I get a favor? I'd love to have there be a work order. Like I can put in, I mean, they know now
Mhm.
this is we put a work order to get things mowed every spring.
Is that something that we should go before town council to discuss?
I think Kyle could implement that on his own,
Yeah.
I would think.
I would like to have a discussion with Paul and see what his opinion on this is.
Do you want to include Kyle in that?
I think I would like to have a discussion with Paul first
Okay.
to see what his opinion is. And if he is supportive, then yeah, I think we should have a discussion with Kyle, and if we could get people that are already trained, employees of the town out there doing it, why not utilize that resource if we have it? But I don't know what kind of a strain that is on DPW. So I want to talk to Paul first and see if he supports it. And if he does, we can go from there.
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, Merrimack has enough trees in it that I would think that it would be worthwhile to have somebody on DPW that's,
Oh, there's guys
a
that.
licensed logger or something.
Oh, okay.
That
That might
wasn't
be a
where-
little rich.
That
but-
wasn't where you thought I was going,
No, I mean,
was it?
I said there's obviously guys trained that can do that work, but
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's got I don't know if they're a licensed logger or not. That's
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
maybe licensed logger's not the right thing, but
Mhm.
you're right, they're trained, so, okay. All right, so
If
we'll talk
if I
about it
take the
next time.
action to have a conversation with Paul, can we put this on the
Sure.
next meeting's agenda and I'll come back?
Now, we focus on the chainsaw here. It's other tools too, because I have a chainsaw, and I have a hammer. I don't have anything else. So I have to rely on other people. And if they don't have it, then I have to improvise. So it'd be nice to have things like shears, you know? I don't think they have safety training for those, but.
No, the list that thank you very much for putting this together, by the way, too, but I don't think that there's any non-powered tools.
Like even just purchasing the PPE.
Yeah.
Like, I can use my own chainsaw, but
Those
it'd be nice to
gloves.
have a helmet.
Yeah, but that's the thing, I don't think if we could, that type of stuff that's non-power related, I don't think we're gonna have any concern from the town or anyone else about purchasing. That's, the chainsaw, things that need to be controlled.
Yeah.
If you cut your own finger off with a pair of shears, I don't know how the hell you could,
Yeah, you gotta
you
really
gotta
try.
really work at that, so.
Though I got a nail through my wrist with a nail gun before.
Ouch.
Again, that's power actuated tools. That's different. That's a whole different story. No, I think this is good. Thank you for getting this together. I mean, at least it gives us a good starting point too, as the kind of things that, because I'm assuming they went and talked to somebody and got a recommendation of what to get. So this is helpful. This is
So
really
what
helpful.
we did was, we appointed the chair to go put it together and discuss purchasing tools with whoever. Came back, we looked it over, voted to approve, and he wouldn't have got it done.
So we'll come back to this next meeting?
You said you talked to Kyle already once about
Not
the shed.
Kyle, Paul.
About
Did you
the
get a
shed.
price?
I thought Kyle. Someone talked to Kyle about getting a shed.
Mike and Mike talked to Kyle
Oh,
about getting the
okay.
shed.
Can he give you an idea, like,
He didn't give an
no,
idea on the price.
or who we'd call? It's like called
Him.
Reed's. Called Reed's
We
Ferry.
did-
Yeah.
No, we go through him for
Right.
the shed.
All right.
Paul did he sent me a whole bunch of different options with for fuel storage. That gets expensive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those start at $450, $500.
That's not too bad. Aren't we millionaires?
All right, we'll come back to that next meeting then. Update on the turtle trackers.
Okay. So if you will all remember, at a recent meeting, we approved an expenditure not to exceed $5,000 because we have to take the trackers off the turtles. We can't just leave them on there. So,
These are the Blandings turtles,
yes.
3 of them
Three of them.
that are
yes.
being tracked
Two females.
by Moosewood Ecological.
Yes, there are two females and a wandering male who, we have no idea where he is, so. So we did get an email from Jeff Littleton of Moosewood Ecological, accompanied by an invoice, the first of hopefully only 2 invoices, and this one is for $2,097, which I have forwarded to Rhonda to be paid. So his email said, we've completed project planning, strategizing, and a couple of telemetry surveys. We have found the 2 females, but they have been in the middle of the wetland where it's too deep to physically get a hold of them. We still have to locate the male, but 2 years ago, this guy wandered all over the place. We checked up at Old Blood Road site, where we found him in 2019, but saw that the development is moving forward. Now that it has gotten so hot, we believe the females are estivating, which I had to look up, and that means that they're kind of hibernating because it's too hot, and not feeding or moving. As such, in a manner to be efficient, we will wait until late summer, early fall to resume telemetry and possibly trapping to capture the turtles to remove the transmitters. I hope he's going to trap them because we need to get them off. Attached is our first invoice. So that's where we're at. So he's got $5,000 there, max. So hopefully he can get these trackers off in another $2,003. So $2,993. It's math in my head.
This is the last time we're doing turtle telemetry.
Well, and we also would like to see a report
Yeah.
of this too. So that's something that I will
Can we
ask him about.
Well, I haven't asked him yet, so let's get the
Oh,
trackers off first.
He's always provided us with the
Yeah.
data that he found, so.
Yeah, because once he gets them, hopefully, you know, now he'll give us the report, once he has all the information. I mean, obviously, the mail is still having adventures, so we need to figure out, you know, his story's not done yet, so. So anyway, so that's where we're at with that.
Do you have a question about that,
I was
Mike?
gonna ask it where we can view the data, but it was answered.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, thank you, Gina, for the update on the turtles.
okay.
Potential scouting projects. You have that info too, don't you?
Well, I'm going to only read what Mike Boisvert sent, and then we'll turn that over to Mike Druin, because Mike Druin, so I guess I've kept the Girl Scouts, and you've got the Boy Scouts.
Do
'cause
they
I'm
have
still-
any projects?
What? They did the, Sarah Hardy did the selfie stands.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There's only one of them?
well, we've had others, but when I asked you if you wanted to take over Scouts, I still had Sarah working on hers, so I said I'm just gonna keep Sarah.
Well, I mean for future projects.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna work with the Girl Scouts too, you
No,
can
no,
work
no,
with
no,
both.
no.
Okay.
I mean, is there any other Girl Scouts that are
Not
about
right
to
now.
start?
Not right now. But Mike Boisvert sent a note and said, would you add this into the Eagle Scout project discussion on Monday for me? Here's my input for Scout projects. Number one, signs, especially Greater Woods and Sklar. Some would need poles. Mike could make a long list, but he says this really can't wait. Two, construction of trail stairs or like on steep hill connecting Ferry and Eagle Bluff trails in Sklar. And three, there is usually a bridge or bridges in need somewhere. So, obviously, there's bridges, because we have, Andrew's working on the one at Wildcat, which hopefully can be, you know, is an easy fix. And then we have, what's the other one at Horse Hill? There's one at Horse Hill that needs to be done.
Yeah. Well, there are a couple, but one was put above the others.
That's okay, you don't have to look it up now.
Bowman Bridge.
Okay, because my suggestion is going to be that we ask all of the ex officios to the subcommittees to also ask their subcommittees, what do you see? Because the subcommittees are the ones that are out there looking at everything, so. Because I know we still have that erosion issue at Wildcat that, you know what I'm talking about. The one, I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's like every time I walk by it, I feel like I'm gonna fall down the slope there.
But when you walk in,
No, it's
No.
further down.
Since last meeting, I actually went by there and took some pictures just to
Thank you.
do an update. I'll show you the pictures later.
You're talking Wildcat?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, my subcommittee could tell you exactly
Okay.
where it is, but something needs to be done with that at some point. And we thought that would be a nice place for, to put some sort of decking with a railing or something. That would be a great scout project. But if we did have the subcommittees weigh in on it, then start trying to recruit some, because what's happening now is they're all going over to Matt Asperius. Matt's got projects for them, so we need to lure them back to us. So,
so one of the items we discussed a long time ago is now that we've got, quite a few scout projects completed, benches, bridges, decks, whatever,
be awesome.
is there'd be a good chance to have, some of these as a scout project is the maintenance.
Yes.
Go through and fix the boards that are rotted, go through and, and fix the stair that's not gonna be there anymore, or the balusters that have been pushed off, things like that, things that have been broken. So, not as exciting, but
I'm
it's.
gonna jump a little bit with that too, because I'm also wondering if, in addition to scouts, we could nurture a relationship with our school's shop
Yep,
teachers. And because we saw how they wanted to work with Wildcat Falls and do the plantings. So maybe the shop teachers would,
that was the first bridge up in the ball field
okay,
at the middle school. That was the first, that's who made the first bridge that went from the ball field to the Blink Trail. Was the school shop.
okay. Was
Is
that
there-
your idea? Did I steal your idea from you?
No, I
Okay.
just had a thought. Is there a shop that makes sheds?
You never know.
They have one in Hudson. Well, they
It's
make,
part, it's part of the town?
they, the Alverin makes
Oh, okay.
modular houses in their shop and sheds, and they sell 'em. I was just thinking
Can
we
we-
could get a cheap shed.
Well, can we, yeah, I mean, we can buy one.
Wow,
mean-
Alvern has a much more technical school,
Much more industrial based, yeah.
yeah, than
I'm
we
just
do.
thinking just a shed.
I mean, that's a great, I mean, I would much rather go buy something from that than go to, you know, Home Depot or whatever and just buy a shed. I'd rather go buy something from,
Yeah.
that would be cool. That's a good idea.
Do you want me to reach out to the high school and see if the shop teachers,
If you can.
any of the
I mean,
shop teachers would be
if they
interested?
build sheds
Yeah.
and sell them,
Well, I'm thinking bridges, quite honestly. I'm thinking things like bridges. I'm thinking of the unglamorous stuff, the maintenance stuff, because a lot of these kids might need, you know, they might need some service
You know,
projects.
have a conversation with
Yeah.
them, it can't hurt.
Yeah,
I mean, we just have to pinpoint what needs to be done.
well, and obviously we would be paying for the, you know,
Yep.
the supplies, but,
Yep.
okay. I mean, I'm probably gonna have to wait until September, but,
Anything else on scout projects?
No, his recommendation for the stairs, I also recommend that, but I think, you know, that's a very big project, like a lot of money project.
So, did we already name all the trails in Scalar?
Yeah. But both the trails meet at the parking lot and they just go straight, and then you have to go back on the trail to get back.
Yeah.
This set of stairs would go up a very steep, what's it called?
Hill?
Hill. It's like, alright,
Is it one that goes up to the tracks?
alright, so here's how the elevation is like this, and here's the trail here, and here's the other one down here level with
Yeah.
the river, and it just, the elevation just goes like that.
Right.
Now, the,
And that's the one I've been riding up and down too, though.
yeah,
So we
And-
should probably change it so it's not a
I
straight.
struggle to get up there. But, you know, without it, the trails are just straight lines.
This is down the southern end of the trail, right?
That's like
No, that's kind of in the middle.
Is it?
Yeah. But
But that might, you know, I'm not saying no to the stairs, I'm saying that might be a chance for us to start rerouting those trails and making them a little bit more sustainable. Because if you make them straight, especially downhill like that, anytime you get like this rain, I bet you're down to bare rock now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
oh
'cause it's-
no, it would be all mud.
Well-
You wouldn't be able to get up there without slipping.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying is that you're gonna get so much wash down that trail, it's gonna take
Yeah.
down all the silt and everything.
Yeah,
so-
it's eroding.
Yeah.
You have to go down kind of a little bit to get onto the other half of the trail because it eroded away. At the very least, it should be a railing or something for people to pull themselves up. But for steps, it might be
Yeah.
a very big project because then they'd have to be
That's a pretty,
getting fill and
if I'm thinking about the place you were talking about, that's gotta be 35 feet or
Yeah.
so. That's a big staircase.
yeah, it's gonna either cost a lot of money. I mean, I would just use the railroad ties nearby.
Like creosote,
Yes,
can't use them.
but that's what I would do. But with lumber so high right now, it's
Yeah,
gonna
I
cost a
know.
lot of money
I know.
for those steps. So,
All right. If there's not an objection, we'll go ahead and cover correspondence received by the commission and subcommittee updates. It wasn't on the original agenda, under the original agenda, under other business, but we do this every meeting. So communications, I don't think we had any, really, that we haven't already discussed. Anyone want to offer any subcommittee updates?
There's I don't know the date. This Greater Wood Subcommittee date is coming up. I think it's, hold on a second, I'll find it. I think. I just saw the email earlier. Oh, I can't get email on my phone.
oh,
I can't get my town email on my phone yet.
Did you
Sorry.
just come out today?
No, well, I was back at my other computer today that I can get to the town email with, so,
Who sent it?
Nat.
Oh, he wouldn't have sent it to me.
I think you sent it to everybody. It's coming up. I think it's the 14th. Is that Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the next Greater Woods Subcommittee meeting, or the first one in, 18 months is gonna be the 14th. So,
Here, is it here?
When was the email sent? July 1st?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
The last email I have from Nat is July 1st.
Does it say the 14th is gonna be the next subcom meeting?
No,
There was some-
this
there
is a
was-
different email.
There was some back and forth between he and, I think Rhonda asked some questions, or you asked some questions. Someone asked some questions. Well, I'm sure it's posted down in community development. It's gonna be on the 14th. I'm not sure where.
Okay.
We typically meet downstairs, in the planning room, but.
I don't have any updates for Wildcat. I gotta see when the next meeting is.
Eric, any
Nope.
Nope.
Next meeting, late August, I think.
late August?
I haven't been to Sklar in like 2 weeks. It's probably underwater.
Apparently.
I bet there's a lot of water.
That's it for subcommittee updates. Next, we have presentation of minutes.
All you, Gina.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the Merrimack Conservation Commission meeting minutes dated June 28th, 2021 with changes as follows.
Second.
Anyone have changes as follows?
Why don't you start?
Okay. All right, so Nathan Chamberlain, his name is spelled Chamberlin, not Lain. So that is in several spots that I'll go over real quick, although I know Don can probably just do a search and change. But it's on page 1, line 22. It is on page 3, line 1, page 3, line 12, page 3, line 34, page 3, line 38, and that is it. And on page 4, on line 18, we're talking about a shed could be placed. I'll read the whole sentence because otherwise. So Commissioner Perry commented the only area near the school where a shed could be placed would be near, he said the classroom, but I kind of like to say the outdoor classroom just in case anyone has any question because it's kind of like a little confusing about what classroom. So unless people know it's the outdoor classroom. So let's put outdoor in there. Also on page 4, line 40, cut back / pruned, comma, put in or they will grow back fuller. And that's all I have.
Good.
Page 3, paragraph 4, first line, St. Gobain's driveway sheets onto the property. What does that mean?
Sheet flow, water, sheet
Okay.
flows across the surface.
That's it.
Anyone else? All right. By a show of hands, vote to approve the minutes as amended. All in favor? 6 in favor, 1 abstained. Motion carries 6-0.
Staying?
No. brings us to commissioner comments. Ellen, we'll start with you.
I have none this evening, thank you.
None? Mike? Steve?
I'm good.
All set?
Eric? No? Andy?
Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Hold on, I have something.
Nope, sorry, done.
We're a team here. Why haven't we had team building, a barbecue at the chairman's house?
Because we'd have to do minutes for it. That would ruin it. And then we'd have to review those minutes and approve those minutes.
I'd probably have to cook for it too. We're not doing it.
When, I have
I
nothing,
need
when is
pepper
the
biscuits.
next, when is our next meeting?
I believe it's August 2nd, and then the one after that
We're back
is-
to first and,
Yes,
so we're back to first and third.
But then
Monday.
September, I think, is different because Labor Day is in
Because of
there.
Labor Day.
September is September 20th, and August is August 2nd, and what's 2 weeks later? August 16th.
So we'll get back to first and third.
Yes.
Just so Ellen and Andy probably weren't with us when we did this. When we were trying to get back into the conference rooms, the only one available that met spacing guidelines was the one across the way here. So we got, that's how we ended up tonight. We got bounced to second and fourth just so we wouldn't compete with the school board for the use of that classroom. So now we'll get back to routine first and third Mondays. We have just one in August?
We have 2 in August, we have 1 in September,
Okay.
but we only have 1 in July, so.
Obviously, this time of year, if they can be lean agendas, and we tend to cancel one, obviously, if we don't
Right.
need to have one, if
Yep.
we're not gonna risk holding up statutory business or something.
This is the
to
only
that
one that we
effect.
have in July, and then 2 in August and 1 in September.
I'll fill it up with stuff.
And then we'll have to see if NHACC is going to do their annual November conference in person this year. So
Didn't we just get an email from them?
More virtual training, I think.
yeah, they'll do barbecues and stuff for you.
Oh.
I'll make a motion to adjourn,
Oop.
so all of what we're just talking about doesn't have to keep being on the minutes.
Do we have a second? I second. All in favor?
Aye.
And motion carries 7-0-0.
All right, now we can talk about barbecues.